WION Broadband Edition, presented by Vedantu. India. Get free live online courses.
Hello and welcome to a new week on the WION Sports Broadband Edition with me, Digvijay Singh Deo. My guest today is one of the goats of Indian sport, and I don't need to beat around the bush to tell you that Leander Paes is joining me from Mumbai. Leander, thank you for your time. You are known for your serves and volleys, but at the time, as you messaged me a short while ago, it's all about jhadu and pocha.
Hi, Diggy. Yes, you're giving family secrets away. I've traded my forehand and backhand in for jhadu pocha. With a few more weeks of practice, I might go pro in that.
Yeah. But Lee, jokes apart, how's it been? Because the family's been separated. You are in Mumbai with your father, but there are other families scattered all over. So how are you all managing? How are you all holding up?
You know, I think this coronavirus is a bit of a rogue virus. It's hit us all over the world. It's such a global pandemic. You can't see it coming. You don't know where it's coming from. So it's put everybody in such a fear. I think it's really important to practice social distancing, to really stay at home. And yes, for my family, we're all dispersed. I've got a really large family, being Bengali and Goanese, Portuguese, just a really large family. So we're concerned about my mom, my stepmom. They're both in Calcutta. They're alone at home. So, make sure that they're fine. My father's with me, which is awesome. My daughter's with me, which is awesome. So looking after a 75-year-old and a 14-year-old is not the easiest thing to do to keep them entertained. But there is great fun after 30 years to spend good quality time with my family. I've got a niece who's in Italy at the moment with a little kid. I've got a nephew who's in Spain at the moment with a little kid. My middle sister, Maria, is in California. So it's a bit hard. It's a little stressful. But like most families where we're all spread out all over the world, it's important to take this time to connect with people, just as we are doing, connecting here via Skype or via visual video chat. It's important to connect with our people, and it's important to stay happy. It's important to recognize that we're all in a lockdown, and that's the best way to make sure this pandemic does not spread, but to really make the most of our time. I'm doing a lot of stuff that I couldn't do for the last 30 years, which is a lot of fun.
But, let's be realistically, the world will slowly get back to normal, yes, but there are bound to be travel restrictions, there are bound to be quarantine regulations and all of that across the world. Do you honestly look at the tennis season resuming before the end of August at the moment, the way things stand?
I don't see it, Diggy. But with my humble view on it, I feel that we're going to probably start towards the end of the year or the beginning of 2021. It was very interesting. I was having a chat with one of my tennis friends, and I'm like, how's your fitness going? How's your tennis going? How's, how you keeping your body in shape? You're working on your strokes against a wall. How are you adapting, to keep your fitness going? And he turned around and he goes, Lee, if I can get to 2021 and still say I survived 2020, I think I'll be really happy. And it was quite a metaphor for what his mind space was. And if you actually look at professional sport or entertainment, I think there's going to be a great need for entertainment and professional sport, given the fact that all of us have been in a lockdown already for 2+ months. And we're going to be in a lockdown, in my humble opinion, for the next two months more, at least. So I feel like it's very important to take perspective. I feel that in my one last row season, the evaluation of whether I do play another couple Grand Slams to get to 100 participations in Grand Slams, whether I do play another Olympics to get India that world record of 8 Olympics, those evaluations will come, later in the year.
Yes, obviously, all of us have gone through Darwin's evolution of the species. As you said, we are going to adapt. But I just want to pick up on something you just said, which is mental happiness. And is that the biggest problem facing sports persons? Not everyone is as privileged to have a large flat like the one I'm sitting in or the one probably you have. Or, there's also the fact that you're sitting at home not knowing where the next paycheck is coming if you're a professional sports person. This anxiety, how can you help sports persons, advise them on how to deal with this sort of anxiety? Because they don't know what the future holds for them.
That's a big question, Diggy. I think that's the real essence of the day. I think that regardless of what walk of life we come from, regardless of what position we are in our jobs, this mental anxiety, the stress factor is a huge factor to be able to handle. I think that for a few of us, like you and I, we're very lucky, like you rightly said, that we have put a little money away for a rainy day. We are able to, pay for our electricity, pay for our homes, put food on the table, but my heart goes out to our staff. My heart goes out to the working class, the underprivileged, because in India alone, we have hundreds of millions of them who really work day to day for a living, who work day to day to put food on the table, who work day to day to pay for their rent.
Yes, when you talk about throwing challenges, well, Federer had his volley challenge. You came up with your version of the volley challenge, and what that unexpectedly threw up and had all Indian tennis fans going gaga was you and Mahesh Bhupati, your old tennis partner, actually, coming together and trying to impress each other with your fans, and who's the better one. You actually had a no-look volley kind of a challenge. The competitive juice between you two still rages, it seems, after all these years, and good to see both of you egging each other on.
Yeah, the friendship is always been there. The respect has always been there. The competitiveness is always going to be there. And I think that when you leave Hesh and myself together, we're all right. I think it's when other things happen around us that we both want to do things our way. We're very, very different as people, and that's probably what shines through. And that being said, doing that volley challenge, I was doing what I was good at, which is the no-look volley. He was doing what he's good at. He took a small frying pan. And it's fun. I think that one of the things that Hesh and myself were able to do, and one of the reasons I will always respect what he's done and what we've done, is to prove to India that we can be world beaters, is to prove to India that we could be number one in the world at sport. I think before we did it, I don't believe there were any number ones in the sport in the open era. I believe that winning Grand Slams was something that we proved to India that we could do. And that being said, I believe Hesh has got 12 Grand Slams and I've got 18 Grand Slams, and we've played like what he's played, maybe 5 or 6 Olympics, maybe. I've done 7 Olympics already, and I think that just the camaraderie of what we have is fun. So in times like these, we pull together to entertain our fans. We pull together to show people that through the ups and downs of life, you can still have respect for each other. You can still have a underlying friendship for each other, and that's the call of the day, right? I mean, if I get a call from Hesh in the middle of the night and he says, "Hey Lee, I need you," I'm going to be there. I'm not even going to ask why, because that's just what we share. You go through ups and downs with people, and I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit here and say I'm right, he's wrong, or he's right, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you put your ego aside and you put all that behind you. The call of the day is to be there for your fellow friends, and be there for your fellow camaraderies, and I will always be there for him, whatever he needs.
Yes, and good to see that camaraderie. Perhaps when you're saying for the next 1 week, you're going to come up with some more challenges. Let's see how he responds. But you spoke about your journey to the Olympics. Bit of a double whammy for you as well, because the Olympics is something you wanted to achieve this year. With the Olympics now getting postponed by a year, that's also going to factor in somewhere in your decision, isn't it?
100%. Right now, every match I'm playing is a record for me, but also a record for India. Right now, I am 3 Grand Slam participations shy of participating in 100 Grand Slams, if my stats are right. I've always grown up as a young boy to try and emulate my father, try and emulate my mom. I've always grown up as a young boy to try and put India on the world map, and I believe that over my 3 decades of playing, I've been able to put India on the world map. Whether it's winning Grand Slams, whether it's number of participations in the Olympics, whether it's winning that first Olympic medal, and I feel like it's important now, while I'm in the last 100-meter sprint of my long career, it's important to keep motivating myself, which, Diggy, is really hard. The effort that it takes at 46, 47 years old to push this body and the mind, one, to stay happy doing those 10,000 skips a day, to push your body to stay happy getting into a gym after 30 years of continuously going to a gym or a running track, or stringing your rackets or wrapping your grips, or thinking about tennis and the shots and creativity. I've been very blessed to have a long career, and my career has been massive. To motivate myself both mentally and physically now is the challenge.
You spoke about the Olympics and the Olympic dream, but there are others who are in the same boat. the likes of Roger Federer, for whom this would have been the last Olympics in Tokyo in 2020, Serena Williams, your old friend, Mary Kom, even someone like a Tiger Woods, who I spoke a few months back, and he said that he wanted desperately to play at least one Olympics in his career. Imagine the great Tiger Woods, wanting one Olympic experience. For all of these sporting greats, they're more or less in the same boat as you, and they're all going to go through that same sort of emotional stress about pushing their bodies for one more year, as you mentioned.
I think that when you look at the motivation factor of a Roger Federer, or the motivation factor of a Tiger Woods to go back and play another Olympics, it's very interesting. We saw a Maria Sharapova just retire. We saw that she has had an amazing career, achieved so much, and called it a day. I think that when in an athlete's life, when you look at the focus that we have and the targets that we set, the dreams that we have to achieve a certain target, that passion towards that dream has to outweigh the effort that it takes to get there. So then you do the hard yards. If you have a fever, you go and still work out. If you are a bit sore with the workload that you've done over the last month, you're still going out there and doing the hard yards because you have an end goal. Today, sitting in a lockdown, we don't have any goal, let alone an end goal, because we don't know when we're going to start. We don't know if you're going to start in August and September, whether the US Open is going to be on, or we don't know whether it's hard to believe that the Asian swing will be on in the fall. Once, the monsoons come in and then, fall comes in, are we going to be playing in Europe and America then? Who knows? So right now, I think it is very important for each one of us to take care of the here and now, keep our bodies fit and healthy, to keep reevaluating our goals, to make sure that our mental happiness is there, to use that mental toughness training we have, to use the mental skills that we've been taught, to share that with people.
Let's talk about Indian sport. Indian sport can be broadly divided into two periods. One is the period till 1980, which is when the great run of the hockey team ended. From 1928 at the Olympics right down to 1980. Your father was one of those teams which won medals in hockey. And then the second period for Indian sports started post 1996, which was the rise of the individual sports person. No one gave you a ghost of a chance going into Atlanta, but you went out there and you won a singles medal, which is very important early. That you won a singles medal. We were very good in doubles. You won a singles medal against some of the biggest names in your sport at that point of time. When you look back at your career, and obviously this lockdown has given you time to reflect on your career as well, is that the greatest triumph of your career?
Yes, that is. It's very interesting since I've had such a big career in doubles and mixed doubles, the singles gets overshadowed a lot. And both you and me have been covering sport and playing sport and growing together in our field over the last 20, 25 years. And you know how I cherished my singles. You know the fact that I've beaten a Roger Federer in Palm Springs, or I beat Sampras in New Haven when he was #1 in the world, or my Davis Cup record in singles, or the fact that I won the Hall of Fame championships, and the matches go on and on. But the singles in the Olympics is definitely by far my most cherished trophy. Why? Because I gave my whole life to it. Ever since I was a little boy and ever since I could comprehend, every Sunday after church, I would polish my papa's medal. And Dad got a medal in field hockey in 72, like you said. And that was getting a bronze medal in 72 was actually a failure, because before that, the team always came back with the gold. So when Dad thinks of his bronze medal, he says, but we didn't get gold. And it's quite interesting, the perspectives we have as human beings. But my biggest dream was to emulate my hero, to emulate my father, and win India its first individual medal since Yadav did. And for me, every day that I woke up was a quest on what I could do that day to win my medal. The reason I gave up football, which is where my talent lies, was to actually play tennis, a sport that was an individual sport that could take me to the Olympics. Whereas back in the 80s, football, we didn't qualify for the Asian Championships, let alone for the World Cup or the Olympics. So everything I've done in my life is to put India on a map. Patriotism drives me. I used to iron my mom and dad's jersey as a young boy. Mom's jersey for India was a number 5. Dad's jersey was a number 10. or vice versa. But really, that passion that I grew up with in my house to play for India and to put India on a map is the reason that standing on the podium in Atlanta with Agassi in the middle with the gold and Sergio Bruguera on his side with the silver, and for me to watch my Indian flag go up it made me very proud to be an Indian.
I have spoken to Sushil Kumar, the only Indian to win 2 Olympic medals in the individual category. I've spoken to Yogeshwar Dutt, even Maleshwari, who followed up after you, and everyone told me that they were inspired to get onto the Olympic podium when they saw you on the podium in Atlanta. Today, we haven't reached the potential of where India should be. But heading into these Olympics, which are now postponed, you had 17-year-olds like Saurabh Chaudhary, Manu Bhaker, who were going into the Olympics and saying, we're going to win the gold, we are world number one. You have Neeraj Chopra in athletics and, going out there to win gold. Bajrang Punia going out there to win the gold. And on the other hand, you have people like you, the wise and experienced Leander Paes, Mary Kom. Indian sport is slowly reaching there, isn't it? That explosion of getting to that level where every one of us is a world beater.
As a young kid from Kolkata, I always said, maybe kar sakte ki nahi. You always had that doubt, kaise kare? In tennis, we had never won a Grand Slam. So I was trying to pioneer, my father and me were trying to pioneer in building ways of training mechanisms, mental training mechanisms, finance and corporate dollar that it took to travel on an expensive sport like tennis. Back then we weren't allowed to have foreign credit cards or have a lot of money to travel with. And there were nights that I slept in locker rooms because I didn't have money for a hotel or I didn't have money to spend on one's travel, and I was a shy kid growing up. You couldn't tell now, but I was a shy kid growing up and didn't go out there and have the ability to ask someone, can I share in with your room? Even now, Sushil Kumar, Sushil Bhai messages me every 2 days. Namaste ji, kaise ho aap? And I message him back and, with our Hindi, English conversation, we are always checking on each other. And I respect every athlete out there who's gone out there to put India on the map, who's gone out there to show with their brand of sport or their brand of passion on how we Indians can be world beaters. And I think that when you look at India as so rich in so many different ways, yes, our sporting richness has grown a lot since I started. There has been the Rahul Dravids, there has been the Baichung Bhutias and the Sunil Chhetris, there has been the Saina Nehwals and the Gopi Chands and the PV Sindhus. When I got to Rio, when we were in Rio and I went into the march past, the opening ceremony in Rio, this young girl, PV Sindhu, was towering over me. She's much taller than I am. And she's young. She was a teenager, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. And to see her going out there and winning a medal, the second medal that they've won in badminton in the Olympics, and by one coach, Gopi Chand, who I think Rahul Dravid and Gopi Chand are two, and Ravi Shastri are the epitome is what an athlete could be, reinventing themselves, coming out as coaches. India has come a long way. I still think there's a long way to go, Diggy. I think that when we come back from an Olympics, to come back with a full handful of medals is the dream. And it's a responsibility of people like myself and the few contemporaries that I've mentioned, Sachin, Dhoni, Gopi Chand, Rahul Dravid, Ravi Shastri, Baichung, and the list keeps going on and on with the ex-athletes or the athletes who are in the twilight of their careers to come back and give to sport, to come back and share their knowledge, to share our knowledge that we've learned over 2-3 decades and pass that on to the next generation is important. So to show that in India, we can come back with a Grand Slam champion in singles, we still got a lot of work to do. And that's the endeavor, right?
This is actually your 5th decade in sport, continuous. And so let's 5th decade, start from the 80s. Even if you take from the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, 2010 and 2020. So it's the 5th decade for you in sport. You haven't crossed 50 yet, but it is your 5th decade in sport. That's how.
I'm not far, Diggy. I'm not far from it.
That's how these things work out. So I thought let's do a small kind of a rapid fire out, and you'll have.
Oh boy, I'm not good at quiz.
Won't have too much time to think about your answers, but they should be the players you have seen. Let's not go back into history, but the players you've seen over your career. Let me start by asking you, who has been the best tennis player for you, Lee, male or female, that you have seen over the course of your career?
Male, Roger Federer. Female, Martina Navratilova.
Okay. I said male or female. You have to pick one.
Martina Navratilova. The record books, the history.
Okay.
The number of Grand Slams she's won.
I sort of know where this one's going. Who has been your personal favorite and why?
Like the above, Martina Navratilova. She's been fantastic. You're going to get me into trouble because I've played with 136 men's doubles partners, and I've played with about 23 odd mixed doubles partners. So I've had some amazing friendships through all of them. Been able to distinctly be the first person to win Grand Slams with them, or be the first person to help them win a major tournament. And that's a cool distinction to have, to get someone to achieve their dreams.
Okay, Leander Paes as a tennis player for me was always associated with grass in my memory. So who was the better player on grass, Federer or Pete Sampras?
Federer.
Okay.
Grass has changed. The grass has changed, right? I mean, the Wimbledon grass courts. Let me ask you some questions. You've seen tennis.
Let me finish this and then we'll get to that. I don't want to lose the chain of thought. Now, you've played a lot of singles, you played a lot of doubles as well. So who was your most difficult opponent or opponents?
Singles would be Andre Agassi. I've beaten the Federers of the world. I've beaten Sampras of the world. I've never lost to Sampras singles or doubles. But Andre Agassi's game style and how sharp he is mentally, what a competitor he is mentally, and so much of passion. I've had him in all sorts of trouble in many a match. US Open, I had him a set and 4-1 down. He came back and won that. He used every trick in the book to complain that my shoes were squeaking, to change the strategy. His coach, who's one of the greatest coaches in the game of tennis, Brad Gilbert, kept on trying to change the game up, to moonball, to use lobs to keep me off the net. At the Olympics, when I had him down 5-6, 15-40, I thought I had that passing shot covered. I hit a chip down the line and had the passing shot covered. I had the line covered, the cross-court dive covered, the forehand smash, backhand smash covered. And in a fraction of a second, he found the one shot that I hadn't covered. And that was right at my face. And subsequently, he tore some ligaments in my wrist because I tried to fend off a volley, a very awkward volley. But his wit, his sharpness, his ability to turn a match on one shot or one rally, Andre Agassi is the toughest opponent I've had.
Okay, you spoke about the Olympics and what it meant to you, but your most memorable triumph, Leander, outside of the Olympics?
One match or tournament?
The tournament.
Winning the Hall of Fame championships in Newport, Rhode Island, because I never knew at that time that I would play that long or play that big to get into the Hall of Fame. So by winning the singles title there, I already have my memorabilia up in the Hall of Fame. The racket that I won with, the clothes that I won with. Interestingly enough, last year when I went back to the Hall of Fame, Todd Martin took me a walk through the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island. And he actually gave me my racket. I had to wear white gloves to hold my own racket. It was quite surreal. It was quite cool. But that Newport Hall of Fame.
Okay, favorite tournament outside of Wimbledon, which is obvious?
Ooh, so many. Palm Springs, Indian Wells, Dubai, Winston-Salem.
One.
Oh, God. Biggie. I've had a big career. It's tough to pick one.
Okay. We'll pass this. The biggest regret of your career?
Biggest regret of my career, giving up my singles. I gave up my singles in 99, at the end of 98, to focus on winning Grand Slams in doubles, because then the game got so slow, the courts got slow, the balls got slow. So the effort that it took to continue my singles career and doubles and mixed doubles was very hard. And if you remember in 98, I had just beaten Sampras in New Haven, just won Newport Hall of Fame. We just got to my highest ranking of 73. I was getting an entry that year in 99 into every single Grand Slam, getting an entry into every single tournament. But if I had continued, who knows how far I would have reached in singles. But that's something that if I knew my career was, who knows how far I would have reached in singles. But that's something that if I knew my career was going to last so long, I would have not given up my singles back then.
Okay, very few left. This is where we get into the contentious ones. Your best men's doubles partner ever?
man, you're going to get me killed by the others. You know, there are 136 of them, right? So
Yeah, I know
135
that,
of them are going to be unhappy with you and me.
Yeah.
Guys, it's
Yeah.
all Diggy's fault. But Radek
Not me.
Stepanek would have to be one of them. The most intelligent of all of them.
Okay. Your best mixed doubles partner, Leander? I can think of two.
Yeah, both with the same name, right?
Yeah.
Martina, both of them. Martina Hingis is like a sister to me. She is someone who is we've been through so much in life, you know, ups and downs of life, and we've always been there for each other. Martina Hingis is the perfect blend of a doubles partner that I want. She's got great ground strokes, great return of serve, just a solid partner. So it was so natural for me to play with her because all I had to do was use my instincts to lead and to take care of the net. We won all 4 Grand Slams, the French, the Aussie, Wimbledon, and the US Open in a 16-month period. To me, to win the career Grand Slam in 16 months is what dreams are made of. I never imagined that I would accomplish that. So Martina Hingis for sure is up there. Martina Navratilova, my biggest confidant. She was my 9 p.m. phone call when I was at the MD Anderson every single night. She stopped playing tennis until I returned. From Wimbledon till I returned, she stopped playing. Just a big spokesperson for humanity. Both of them are my favorites, yeah.
Okay, final rapid fire round question. Didn't exactly be rapid fire. But again, Leander's answering like his career, long. The most important match win, the most important match win, which you will always treasure.
Junior Wimbledon singles. It taught me that I could be a Grand Slam winner.
Okay. Leander Paes, long career, but that was rapid fire. Long career, but finally, right at the end, got in the ace to close the match. Game, set, and match, as they say, with the ace, short and sweet. Leander, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure and good memories over the years. But nice to see you back. And as I always keep telling people, the one thing about Leander Paes is even when he is down, if someone goes up to him and asks for an autograph or in these days a selfie, you will always find a very cheerful Leander Paes giving that fan a moment to treasure. So Lee, thank you so much for what you've done for Indian sport. You've taught Indian sport, especially at the Olympics, to believe. You along with Mahesh, as you said, really taught a lot of Indian athletes what it means to triumph at the world level. And I know that when you see a Sindhu standing on the top podium of the World Championships in badminton, or when you see Sushil, or you see the other ones who've actually won Olympic medals inspired by you, some part of you is so proud of that fact that you've sort of inspired all of them. So thank you so much for this interview.
WION Broadband Edition, presented by Vedantu. India. Get free live online courses.